Hello, my name is Nathan Hill, and this is my communications final project. What, what is communication? Communication is defined as the exchange of ideas, news, and information between one person and themselves or two or more people. Communication is important because it is the ultimate act of working together. One person needs to properly convey the information, and the other person needs to effectively understand what has been conveyed. Good communication skills are necessary for success, both individual and societal. There are different types of communications. Interpersonal communication is communication between two people, and it's usually unplanned and informal. Interpersonal communication is communication with self. This is the thoughts and feelings that one has. Group communication is communication between three or more people mutually united to work together. And mass communication is one speaker addressing a large group of people. One example of mass communication is a commencement speech. A commencement speech is usually given at the end of a large event, or here it's at the end of a graduation. Here is Steve Jobs in 2005 addressing the Stanford graduates. It's a commencement speech because it's meant to inspire the students that are graduating. A political speech is a speech given by a political leader to a nation. Here's President Roosevelt declaring war on Japan. It's a political speech because it's given by a political leader, President Roosevelt, to a nation, and it delivers a political message, a declaration of war. An informative speech is meant to inform the audience of a certain situation or event. Here is President Reagan informing the nation of the 1986 Challenger rocket explosion. This speech was meant to inform the nation of what had happened and what the government planned to do next. A persuasive speech is similar to an informative speech, except it's meant to persuade the audience. It's meant to encourage them to make a change or view something in a certain way. Here is President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. This is a persuasive speech because it was given to an audience consisting of citizens of the United States, and was meant to persuade them to continue to work to make the United States a great and noble nation. Verbal and nonverbal communication are important in speeches. Verbal communication is what one says, and nonverbal communication is what they don't say, but how they say it. This includes gesturing, eye contact, other things that they may do to convey their message without saying what they're saying. In this sketch by Abbott and Costello, they use both verbal and nonverbal communication. They say who's on first and what's on second, but they also gesture who's on first, what's on second. Costello also gestures to show his frustration at not understanding who's on first. Interpersonal communication is communication between two people. As you can see from this picture, it's informal. It's a little calmer than most speeches. This is Clint Eastwood on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. It's just a simple conversation between the two of them, and it's informal, a little unplanned. Intercultural communication is communication between different cultures. Seen here is a diplomat from Russia speaking with a BBC interviewer about the conflict in Ukraine. It's clear to see that though they come from different geographical, circumstantial, and language differences, they are able to still have a conversation. even though they come from different backgrounds. Conflict confrontation is usually an argument, but it's a conflict in a conversation. Seen here is a scene from the Lorax with the Onceler and the Lorax disagreeing about the current situation in the environment. This scene shows how they disagree and what they do to make the other hear their points. There are many verbal cues, including increased rate and pitch, and nonverbal cues such as gesturing and getting above the other, and this shows their anger towards the other one. A news source is a source that uses facts and evidence to convey an informative message to a large group. It's a form of mass communication. In this one, it's a report on a large blizzard sweeping across the United States. The reporter uses facts and evidence to give a strong message. It's an example of a news source because it comes from the Today Show, which is a daily news show. A modern media source is a social media source. Seen here is a Twitter post by ex-President Donald J. Trump. It's a mass media source as well as a modern media source because it's one speaker delivering a message to a large group of people with just a simple tweet. In conclusion, I thought there were many interesting things in this class. One thing that I thought was interesting is how there are so many different ways that we perceive others, and that others use these ways to make their own perceptions about me as well. I also thought it was interesting that touch, time, and movement can affect how persuasive a speech is. It's more than just reading words off of a paper or a screen. And these are my works cited.